Welcome to our Culture Days conversation. This is kind of our second edition of our From the Field, where people bring in questions about Culture Days or about anything kind of in the culture sphere. And we are so happy today to have Jackie with SaskCulture joining us on the call. I will pass it over to Catherine here for a quick sec, and she can give a land acknowledgement.
Sure. So Prairie Central District for Sport, Culture, and Recreation acknowledges that we operate on traditional territories of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Nakota, and Lakota nations, as well as the homeland of the Métis. Within Treaties 4 and 6, we recognize the deep connections of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people to this land and honor their enduring presence, wisdom, and contributions. Guided by respect, collaboration, and reconciliation, we strive to create an inclusive and welcoming environment where sport, culture, and recreation enhance the quality of life for all.
Awesome, thanks. And yeah, for those watching the recording, just a little quick blurb about the Prairie Central District. There's our cryptic map there. So we don't actually include Saskatoon and Regina, but we go all around kind of Lumsden area, Fort Qu'Appelle, all the way up to Kelvington, St. Brew, wrap around Saskatoon over with our friends at Langham, and then down by kind of Beachy and Lucky Lake. So Prairie Central supports communities across central Saskatchewan by creating opportunities for sport or for people to connect, participate, and thrive through sport, culture, and recreation. We work really closely with the folks at Sask Sport, SaskCulture, and the Saskatchewan Parks and Recreation Association, helping build vibrant, inclusive, and connected communities. So I was at a presentation yesterday, and it would have had all of these like QR codes every single time something popped up. So we've added those into this as well. And grateful to our sponsors at Sask Lotteries. There's that cheesy little saying that we all win with lotteries, but it really is true. The districts, all the 7 districts across the province get allocated funding straight from SaskCulture, and that money goes directly back into communities supporting all the fun stuff like Culture Days. So I'm going to mute my screen here, stop my share, and pass it over to Jackie, and she will share a little bit about Culture Days and about the SaskCulture Hub sponsorship. So there we go.
Share my screen. Okay, and I guess we should go back to the beginning. Hang on, where are we? Okay, here we go. You can see this?
Yep.
All right. So yes, today I'm going to talk about Culture Days and the Culture Days Hub sponsorship. So what is Culture Days? It's an annual national celebration of arts, culture, and creativity in Canada. It's happened since 2010. Every year, thousands of free participatory arts, cultural, and heritage events are offered by independent organizers as a part of the celebrations, welcoming millions of participants to create, share, and celebrate the life enriched by arts and culture. Since the beginning, there have been over 54,000 plus events, 25 million plus attendees, and in over 5,000 plus communities across Canada. Culture Days Saskatchewan has been a part of the national celebration since its inception in 2010. Last year across Canada, there were 5,000 plus events, 350,000 plus attendees in over 550 communities across Canada. So who participated in 2025? Just about every type of organization. So just to highlight a few: municipalities, local governments, artist collectives and studios. In Saskatchewan, because they don't have this anywhere else across Canada, is the districts, the sport, rec, and culture districts. And then everything from museums, a lot of museums actually, and local arts councils. In Saskatchewan, our top 3 organizer types are museums, municipalities, local government, and libraries. And before this, there was a little bit more of a percentage difference, but this last year it kind of went even Steven almost all the way across with those 3 organizers. I would say already this year, we're probably going to have more of a higher percentage with librarians. So why community organizations should be involved? You're already doing arts, cultural, and heritage work. You already have established relationships with community, and you are a natural connection to cultural activities all year round. So what is a Culture Days activity? It's an arts, culture, or heritage activity that is participatory in nature and or has knowledge transfer. So for instance, you can participate, people that have not tried art before could come out and try a painting class, or there's a cultural knowledge transfer. So maybe a knowledge keeper, an elder is talking about their culture and their traditions, and people can learn about that. The activities or events have to take place during the designated Culture Days event run, which is this year is September 18th to October 4th. And it needs to be registered on the Culture Days website, especially if people have received hub sponsorship. That is a part of the requirements for that sponsorship in Saskatchewan. And the event must be free for the public to attend or pay what you may. So how can communities and organizations get involved? They can identify participatory activities that involve arts, culture, and heritage. They can work with the district or other community organizations to partner in a hub. Can organize activities that connect individuals with new experience and knowledge. So some examples of Culture Days activities, and I know that Eileen and Catherine will talk about theirs after this, so you can hear specifically what was done here in Saskatchewan. But people have done teepee lessons, beading workshops, poetry workshops, story strolls, needle felting, storytelling, printmaking, just to make to name a few. So last year, districts and rec boards that participated, we had the Reconnecting to Culture, Beauval Minor Sports and Recreation, Breeding Ground, Prairie Central District, which will be talked about today, the Spirit of the Land Adventure, which will also be talked about today, beading workshops through Parkland Valley District, and building relationships. We are in this together, Oxbow District Recreation, and they do a National Day for Truth and Reconciliation event, usually every year. So falling within the days of Culture Days is National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And within the SaskCulture Culture Days hub sponsorship, it is prioritized for funding if people hold a National Day for Truth and Reconciliation event. It does not need to be held on September 30th. We recognize that often nations are doing their own healing at that point in time. So if it's held within a week, and then that's fine. Then it can be mentioned as a part of the hub, and that it is a National Day for Truth and Reconciliation event. Also, schools can't really gather on the weekend if that day falls on the weekend. So these are the types of events that have happened. Storytelling, there's a reconciliation walk that happens annually in Melfort. Oh, there we have Coralie coming in.
So sorry.
No worries. This will be available for you to take a look at after as well, because it's being recorded. And as Aileen mentioned in the story that we recently did about the Silton event, you said one of the best parts about Culture Days is all the resources and like the planning resources and organizer resources that are there. So all the brands are there. You basically just download the brand kit, and then you take the shapes, you can add them to your social media. There's pre-made stuff. There's a branding guide, but as well, there's also, you can go back and watch webinars on how to promote your event, There's a school engagement toolkit. There's some information if you're doing any Indigenous cultural programming, things you should consider, and those sorts of things. And then there's also multilingual templates, so to be able to put your posters out in just about every language. So what are the takeaways? Recreation boards and associations play a crucial role in fostering cultural engagement within communities. By actively participating in culture days, your association can bring community members together to highlight local culture, showcase the diversity of culture and the many artists in the community, encourage community collaborations, provide learning opportunities, engage new participants, and build community. And I think that both Eileen and Catherine, especially with Catherine's event last year, you can talk about how this built and connected the community last year with what you did. And then I just want to make people aware that if you are doing a Culture Days event, whether you've received hub sponsorship or not, you can go and register your events on culturedays.ca /dashboard. The registration is already open. It will be promoted and it's got national exposure. And register your events sooner than later to access more promotional benefits. We try to get all of our hub sponsors, once they've registered their events, up on our social media platforms to put it out there to showcase what's happening. And then always sign up to the Culture Days Sask newsletter. And so there you go. And this is my contact information is in there, as well as all of our socials and how you can subscribe to this Culture Days Sask newsletter. Great.
I'll chime in on that. When you register your event, you can literally change it every single day as details come in. So like the sooner you have it on there, and then you can like revise it and edit it, or if a location changes or a new artist gets added, you can kind of fix and tune that as you go.
Yeah, and with the sponsorship, it's not a grant. So we provide up to $5,000 for a sponsorship when people apply to the Culture Days Hub sponsorship through SaskCulture. And what was I going to say? There's more flexibility with it because it's not a grant. It's not as rigid. I think you both can attest to the application process is quite simple. And so is the follow-up reporting. There's things we don't require, like receipts and those sorts of things. So it's pretty easy. It's just listing your activities, listing your partnerships, which is a big part of the hub sponsorships. So we want to see at least 2 or more partners. We want to see that the event is free, and we want to see that it's a participatory or a knowledge sharing event so people can come and really experience our culture and heritage. Yeah.
That's awesome. So we've got a few more slides here. Catherine and I met with Brennan from Tourism Saskatchewan the other day, and he also wanted to just remind folks about their kind of free business and events listing. And they also have a really, really amazing event management and certification training that SaskCulture supported. I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago, that kind of helps you go over some of those risk management, where's your washrooms, kind of helps you check some of those boxes if you are planning on gathering a lot of people together. And then also on their hub is a bit more training on kind of community tourism and planning, knowing that kind of sport, culture, and rec is a great way to bring people to your communities, but also a way to make some money in your town. So just a quick blurb for Tourism Saskatchewan, and look for a workshop that we'll be hosting with them once it comes to fruition. So what Catherine and I want to do is we want to be here. How can Prairie Central help? So basically we want to take your ideas and make them come to fruition. We want to walk through things with you. If you have some wild and crazy activity, we can jump on the call even with Jackie to see if it would be something eligible that would work for funding. But yeah, we want to make things happen. So we want to connect you with local artists if that needs to work. We could maybe partner you up with a community across the district somewhere, or a neighboring district if there's something that could be your next kind of partnership. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, there was a hub sponsorship between Silton, Strasbourg, and Nokomis. So it was kind of cool to kind of connect with those communities and see how the different communities work with each other. But yeah, really, we want to just be that like sounding board. If you've got an idea, or you're like, what the heck, how, bring something to life for us, or help us talk through some ideas, we want to be there for you. So I'll pass it over to Catherine to talk about our hub sponsorship from last year.
Okay, so Braiding Ground 2025, we partnered with Museum Association of Saskatchewan and Notice Nature, and created a really cool program. We went into Langham Museum, Dundurn Museum, and Watrous Museum, and partnered with the school divisions in those communities. So part of the vision of this was to connect the museums back with the schools. So then in return, the schools will continue to visit the museums. So we created this program with knowledge keeper Sharon Meyer. So she did a video to teach the importance of sage and reconciliation. We did activities with that. So Notice Nature made kits with their passports. So their passports was anything connected to nature. So we took the kids outside and looked at birds, bugs, plants, everything that was in the passport. And then we made a smudge stick with that. So yeah, it connected the community. So I actually visited a museum not too long ago, and they were so excited that the schools want to come back. So then this year, we also applied for hub sponsorship for art galleries and a fiber workshop. Did I miss anything?
No, that sounds awesome. Okay, so I've got kind of three, not like different ideas, but three ideas that we've seen happen in the district that have been really popular and that seem to gather people together. I don't know if you've seen them around, but barn quilts are kind of the new and big thing. We started them in Prairie Central about 5 or 6 years ago. As I mentioned, there was a workshop between Strasbourg, Silton, and Nokomis. The Rivers West District has also really picked up on them as well. It's just a great way to kind of bring people together, or you can take the kits home and do it as a group. But yeah, barn quilts are basically whatever size you want them to be. We've done like little 1x1s or 2x2s, or the big one on the right is that 4x4. And it's basically to kind of bring back that quilting. We were joking the other day, there was one at a presentation we were at, and it was like the edges weren't quite right, but it's one of those like good from far, far from goods that anybody can participate in, hang on a wall, hang on a garden fence. And yeah, just like really bring beauty outside. I also think it's super cool to be able to highlight kind of Saskatchewan rural architecture, because the barns and the buildings and the different shops and stuff are really amazing. So yeah, everybody could host their own workshop. And then maybe you could get together and create some sort of map that people can follow along with. Just being mindful and respectful of privacy and going onto people's property, but there is a way to go about that. But yeah, I thought this is a really great idea. These are pictures from the Strasbourg Museum. So another great thing I think about, like, think outside the box. Culture doesn't just have to be in buildings or tangible items, but it lives in everyday experiences, stories, and the way people connect with the land. So Silton this year, we're going to do a birding and paddleboarding in the community, like of Silton and Craven area. So yeah, we're really excited to work with a paddling instructor who just did the Sask Tourism birding workshop. So she's also gonna, not sure how we're gonna hold binoculars on a paddleboard, but it's all about participatory experiences. So we're up for it. And then we also plan to host a few kind of birds in the beers in a couple of our local taverns, just to kind of bring awareness to the birds and the migratory patterns around here. And pending funding, we're also going to do a tour to Last Mountain Wildlife Sanctuary at the very top of Last Mountain Lake, and the bird sanctuary at Last Mountain Regional Park. Another idea that I've been dreaming up for years and years with, I don't know if you guys have met Chris Alvarez, but she is a wonderful artist in Regina, about kind of the culture of meals to the field. And as a kid who's grown up on a farm and has had to eat, I don't even want to count the number of meals I've eaten out of a truck box. But for newcomers or people from the city or people who don't have a farm, this is like a really crazy experience to be able to walk up inside a combine or sit in a grain truck or have a tailgate dinner. Like, it's culture doesn't have to be scripted. It can just be, it can be life, and it's a matter of sharing what you've got. And then the one that Jackie was talking about earlier, we partnered with the 4-H group in town, and they led a really cool kind of nature scavenger hunt talking about native plants. And yeah, it was really awesome. But yeah, thinking outside the box, I think, is great. A great way to experience culture. And the last, oh, sorry. Yep.
I was just going to say, I've talked to a lot of other organizers about 4-H since then, because it worked so well for you and what it did. And so there's actually in Nokomis, they've partnered with 4-H up there as well. So, or not in Nokomis, in way up north. But because people are always saying they have a hard time finding volunteers, but then, in rural communities, there's 4-H and they're amazing. It's a great leadership program for youth, and I think a really great opportunity to be a part of that.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure on their entire mandate, but it is part of their youth is that they not have to, but they volunteer and host events in community, like aside from their achievement days. But yeah, they're there to give back and learn by doing. So a great little partnership. And the last one, which I'm like writing notes, and I'm going to connect with Davidson on this one, celebrate intangible cultural heritage and storytelling. So again, the cultural landscape of Saskatchewan is so rich. I think it's really cool to gather people to share about stories and places and people that may no longer be around. And I just think of like the sentinels of the past, like all the elevators that once were around, and how cool it would be to like host a workshop inside an elevator. You could do something with painting, but also thinking that there's more things to visual arts than just paint. So maybe you can do some sort of clay or make like Christmas ornaments of elevators, or Sticks and Doodles in Regina makes these like incredible 3D anything's really, but I don't know, you could make them out of like cardboard or something else, or some sort of puzzles. But yeah, using other different kind of mediums to bring those art and stories together. So yeah, this one could be on elevators. But yeah, we also I'll keep plugging Silton because I know what we've done and what worked. We did a paint night it was like an outside church that no longer stands, and people brought stories and wedding books and all these like, yeah, crazy stories and like books and books on this beautiful church that once lived. And then we had a local artist do a paint night on it, which was pretty incredible. And then that was so successful that we brought it back and did one on elevators. So this is an artist originally from Southie, Dustin Ritter, and he does art with bingo dabbers, which is super fun. And so there was ladies that were kind of the older ladies in town that stood back with their arms crossed and were like, I don't think we can do this. And by the end, it was like 2-year-olds and 90-year-olds bingo dabbering this piece of art, which is pretty cool to bring to life. And again, Jackie showed a couple other pictures, a few other ideas that we've seen. Work could be traveling photo displays. I know the Quill Plains Museum Network has about 6 or 7 different photo exhibits that they lend and travel around. The Diefenbaker Museum has a museum that you can rent, and it shows up in about 1,000 different boxes that you just put it all together, but maybe host a pop-up museum. maybe your community already has a festival that could maybe wiggle a day or two or a week or two around. The Lumsden Scarecrow Festival is now fit into Culture Days. I'm not sure if they got sponsorship this year, but in the past I know they have. And then another cool thing I think about having like a sports day, because there's so many different diverse people in communities, and maybe you want to, yeah, host a cricket workshop, or who is it? I think it was Govan, or maybe it was you even, Kate, that has like a whole bunch of old sports equipment. So have like a sports day, but everybody has to wear bat catcher stuff from the 1920s, or try to squeeze on those wool jerseys and try not to itch while you run around the bases or something. Like, I think there's just so many different kind of unique ideas that rural Saskatchewan can really pull from and play from. Um, any other ideas? We were hoping more people would be on the call to share, but can we put you on the spot, Corley? Do you want to share what you guys have done, or what maybe has worked, or if you don't want to talk, you
Sure.
don't have to.
We've already applied and received $3,000 from SaskCulture. Thank you very much for that. So sort of similar actually to what you talked about. So we hold a flannel fest at the end of September. So
Ooh.
we have applied to, because we do things like wood carving and entertainment and an art exhibition, and like Sonia's School of Ukrainian Dance is coming in and they're doing a demo. So along with providing programs outside of that event for a couple weeks around that day, we're also had applied to for some stuff for that as well. So because Eileen, I had emailed you about Indigenous or Métis people to come, so I've contacted Wanuskewin.
Great.
I want to try and get their outreach program here, and a drummer and a dancer, and then we do other local live entertainment as well. We promote our locals. We have a group here that teaches music lessons, so they come out and they perform. And like I said, we have a wood carver. He comes and does demos all day. I've got a wood burning lady who's going to do demos all day and do little make and takes. Yeah, it sort of just keeps snowballing. It's going to be awesome and big and huge, and we can't wait.
And so are people encouraged to wear flannel?
Yep.
I'm like stuck on this like flannel fest. That's
Yep.
awesome.
And we do, like, in addition to that, we have a petting zoo and we have wagon rides and we have like carnival games that we do as well. So it's inside, outside, there's food trucks and vendor market, and it's just become this huge fall event now. So
Fantastic. Excellent.
Jackie, any other fun ones that you've like heard of?
Oh, there's so many. Like I really like in Saskatoon, it's not in the rural community, but you know, the Nuit Blanche concept where it's like the 1 day art experiences, and it's all you walk around all over downtown you know, Saskatoon, and they have it here in Regina. It's just not during I don't think it's during Culture Days. But you go and you can do like printmaking and all these different art activities, and they have like I don't even know how many artists they have involved with Nuit Blanche. Like it's huge. So that's one. I'm trying to think of there, and then there's you know, like I always like to look at when people can, you know, experience something. So when people do dance workshops or even acting workshops, you know, and people can get up and kind of find that sort of performer in themselves. Like last year here, Creative City Center did the hidden talent show, I believe it was called. And so they put up on the stage actually a shower. So if people didn't want to sing, showing their face, they could stand behind the shower curtain. And then while that was going on, they had artists all over the rest of the artesian. So people could paint, they were doing clay, they were doing all these different art experiences. And it was one of their most well-attended Culture Days events. And so they're doing something similar like that this year. Only this year, their actual new building will be open for that. so there's stuff like that. And then I think Marina with the Climax Community Museum is a good example of how her relationship building really helped to establish a really amazing National Day of Truth and Reconciliation event last year. She had people from the States come up that were a part of it, that were a part of, you know, Indigenous cultures, and, you know, were in that area, you know, back in time. And then, you know, the local nation, and as well as other people that just, she kept building all these relationships. And I guess that talks a lot about how that's important. You know, you reach out, you go have a conversation, understanding the protocol, and you know, learn about these sorts of things. And it's a very beautiful experience. So that was a really cool event, because there was everything, you know, there was a local knowledge keeper did a talk, and then there was also like art happening that you could learn about, and everything was like being learned. And then the I forget the name of the film, Singing Back the Buffalo was also aired, you know, and people could watch it. So that was a pretty neat example. And that's just a teeny tiny little museum, you know, in Climax. And she managed to build all these wonderful relationships with people and have this wonderful event. But another thing that people can do is go on the National Culture Days .ca site and look at what's happening all across Canada, because there's a lot of really cool events. And then I always encourage people not only talk, you know, to your district, but talk to your local librarian. They usually know what's going on. Talk to your art councils, like talk to everyone, and maybe, you know, partner with them if you can, or just get ideas, because often there's artists that are being brought into the area. And if you work with other communities, you can bring that artist, you know, to more communities and share in some costs. I've seen librarians do that again and again since I've been involved with Culture Days. Like they'll talk to a number of libraries, and they bring, you know, like a storyteller in, and they just tour around and they share in the mileage costs, right? So it's not just them pay, you know, it's shared. So, and then people get more experiences that they haven't had before. So
We actually did that. So we partnered with our art center. Well, I partnered with myself because I'm also the chairman of the art center. So, but they have the connections for the artists. So they organized that whole piece of those additional classes. And then I spoke to our local drama organization. So we're actually doing a creative writing workshop that the library is going to pay for. So we partnered with the library on that. And then we're doing 2 improv workshops and a mask making. So kind of speaking to that, trying to dabble in all the different kind of aspects of things, and hopefully get something for everyone.
well, and yeah, like even like I think every year you kind of see a certain artist kind of tour when people are talking to each other. So one year it was like, I think Clarence Little Tent was at a number of different, you know, hubs in Saskatchewan, because I think people were talking to each other, and I'm like, and then so they are like, oh, he's going to be here. Maybe if we brought him here, that, you know, like the next day, or, you know, when you do that with people that you know, are outside of your area, you get some experiences that, you know, might be different. And then I had something else, but it will come back to me.
So I'll just flip through here back to the end. And I'll turn off our screen, but so there's our contact information, and we'll also add in Jackie's. And there's a few other, if you are looking for funding, as we mentioned, there's that SaskCulture's Hub sponsorship, and Prairie Central has our community engagement development grant as well, if you need a little bit of extra top up, because yeah, participating in community and arts and culture, working with volunteers is also our jam. So I will stop the share, and yeah, any other kind of tidbits, or should I?
Oh, well, I'll mention it's really important if you're applying for the Hub sponsorship, as soon as we post, to get your applications in as soon as possible, because there's only so much money, and once it's spent, it's gone. So if you can get your applications in earlier, your chances are you're going to, you know, get more of a level of funding that you want. If it's left till the end, you're going to get what's left over. So it's kind of really important to get that in early. Everything is on our website, and I'll ask Eileen to put that in as well too. I think I shared it on my screen anyway, so when people go back and watch this. But it's just under SaskCulture grants, and if you scroll down, it will say Culture Days Hub sponsorship, and there's a lot of information. I encourage people to read through it all to make sure you're eligible. For instance, if someone's not incorporated, there's ways to partner with other people and, you know, kind of make it still able to happen. But partnerships are important. They're what continue the arts and cultural and heritage activities in those communities. And then networks get built when you're building these partnerships that continue on. Like Eileen can talk to, 4-H helped her with was it 1 or 2 other events after your
Yeah, they're doing all the stuff now. Painting our rink boards, they're watering our plants,
That's awesome. Yeah. There's also for people, if anyone sees us from within the city, the university campuses have volunteer centers where people are looking for experience as well too. And I think often people don't realize that they can tap into that volunteer resource. If you even Google it in most centers, it will be like there's a Facebook page for most volunteer organizations or networks that you can link in with. But yeah, definitely 4-H, I think in the rural communities is a real resource as well too.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to stop record here and thanks for joining us or watching this recording.